she said. Don't ruin the wedding over one mistake. So I canceled everything, froze our savings, and sent her parents the hotel receipts. Her happiness turned out to be a married man, and karma did the rest. I was 33, engaged to Emily, 31. We'd been together for 4 years, and for the longest time, I thought we had something solid, something you could build a life on. We were in that stage where our families were close, our friends saw us as the dependable couple, and we were just weeks away from the wedding we had been planning for months. Everything felt steady until Nashville, her bachelorette party. I don't know why, but the night she left, something felt off. It wasn't jealousy or paranoia, more like a pit in my chest I couldn't shake. I told myself it was normal, that pre-wedding nerves can mess with your head. But still, something in me was restless. Later that night, I was at home scrolling through my phone when I got a notification on a shared group chat. It wasn't Emily's, it was one of her bridesmaids. She must have left her phone unlocked, and pictures started popping up in the chat. At first, they were harmless, shots of the girls in cowboy hats, laughing at some honky-tonk bar, drinks raised high. Typical Nashville bachelorette stuff. But then a picture came through that made me stop cold. Emily, my fiancée, kissing some random guy on the dance floor. And not some harmless, drunken peck either. It was the kind of kiss you don't mistake for anything but what it is. I stared at the screen, hoping I was reading it wrong. But the photos didn't stop. A short video next. Her holding hands with the guy, laughing like they'd known each other forever. And then, later that night, a picture of the two of them leaving together, sliding into the back of an Uber. I told myself to breathe. I wanted so badly to believe there was an explanation, but deep down, I already knew. The next morning, Emily texted me. Her message was short, casual even. Sorry babe, my phone died last night. Crazy night, but I had fun. I'll call you later. My hands tightened around the phone. I wanted to reply, to demand answers, to ask her what the hell I had just seen. But I didn't. Instead, I sat there in silence. It wasn't just that she lied about her phone dying. It was the ease in how she said it, like she hadn't spent the night in another man's arms. That was when the unease in my chest turned into something sharper. Still, I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed more than blurry pictures and gut feelings. I needed truth I could hold in my hands. That morning, I stared out my kitchen window for what felt like hours, wondering how everything could shift in a single night. Just days earlier, we'd been planning flower arrangements and playlists. Now, I couldn't stop seeing that image of her with him, laughing, kissing, disappearing into the back of that car. I told myself one thing: don't act rashly. Don't yell, don't accuse. If she really did betray me, the proof would come. It always does. And so I waited, calm on the outside, burning on the inside. Because something told me, this wasn't just one stupid night. It was the beginning of the truth I had been too blind to see. I stayed quiet after that first morning. Emily came home a couple of days later, acting like nothing had happened. She kissed me at the door, told me how much she missed me, and launched into stories about Broadway Street, rooftop bars, and just being wild with the girls. I nodded along, smiled when she expected me to, but inside, every word felt hollow. That night, when she fell asleep, I opened my laptop. I've always been good with details, patient, methodical. If there was something to find, I'd find it. And I did. Our joint credit card bill had 2 charges that stood out like a neon sign. One was for a boutique hotel in downtown Nashville at 3:07 a.m. The other, just hours later, was for a pharmacy less than a block away from that same hotel. Plan B. I remember staring at the screen for a long time, my chest tightening, my heart pounding so loud it felt like I could hear it echo. There was no misunderstanding this. No crazy night out with the girls. No phone died. This was deliberate. This was real. The next evening, I sat across from her at the dinner table and finally asked, "So, anything happened in Nashville you want to tell me about?" She froze for a split second, then smiled too quickly, like she'd practiced it. "What do you mean?" "It was just partying with the girls." I slid my phone across the table. Screenshots of the hotel charge, the pharmacy, even a picture from the bridesmaids group chat. Her face drained of color. She tried to spin it at first, said she drank too much, that it was just a stupid mistake. She swore it didn't mean anything, begged me to see it as one bad night, instead of who she really was. Her words poured out so fast, like if she kept talking, maybe the truth would somehow vanish between us. But then she said the one thing that killed whatever was left inside me. "Don't ruin the wedding over this. Everyone gets nervous before marriage." I just lost control for a moment. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She wasn't crying because she hurt me. She was crying because she got caught. Later that week, her parents even called me. Her mom's voice was soft, pleading. "Sweetheart, every bride gets cold feet. Don't throw away your future over one night. She loves you. Don't be stubborn. Stubborn. That's what they called it. Like I was overreacting to the woman I was supposed to marry spending the night in a hotel with another man. That was when everything inside me settled. The anger, the pain, the disbelief, it all went quiet. Not because I forgave her, but because I realized there was nothing left to save. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't remorseful. She was desperate to protect the wedding, the image, the comfort of the life we had built on a lie. I didn't yell. I didn't fight. I just sat there, looking at the woman I thought I knew, and understood. She had already made her choice. And now it was my turn to make mine. Once I realized Emily wasn't sorry, just scared of losing the wedding, my perspective shifted. There was nothing left to talk about. She had shown me exactly who she was, and it was my job to act on it. But I didn't storm out. I didn't throw her stuff on the lawn or scream for the neighbors to hear. No, if she thought she could play me for a fool, I'd let her see just how wrong she was. The first thing I did was cancel the venue. My name was on the contract, which meant I had full control. One email and a quick phone call later, our reservation, this huge, elaborate event she'd been bragging about for months, was gone. The deposit was non-refundable, but I didn't care. If anything, I considered it the price of freedom. Next, I called our bank. The joint savings account we'd built for the wedding, I froze it. She wasn't going to fund her mistake with my hard-earned money. Then I moved on to the vendors. Caterer, photographer, DJ, all of them received polite but firm messages from me explaining that the wedding was off. Some asked if I was sure. I told them I was very sure. Each canceled, email felt like a weight lifting off my chest. Finally, I gathered everything. The hotel receipts, the pharmacy charge, the screenshots from her bridesmaids group chat, and sent them straight to her parents. No explanations, no dramatics. Just the truth in black and white. When Emily found out, the meltdown was immediate. She stormed into our apartment, furious, demanding how I could humiliate her like that. Her voice cracked between anger and desperation as she shouted that weddings aren't canceled over one mistake. I stayed calm. This wasn't a mistake, Emily. A mistake is spilling coffee on a shirt. This was a choice. You made it. Now I'm making mine. She cried harder then, dropping into that pleading tone, swearing she'd do anything, that she'd prove she could change. But I could see through it. It wasn't love in her eyes. It was fear of losing the life she thought was guaranteed. That night, she left to stay at her parents' house. I didn't chase her. I didn't call. I just sat in the silence of our apartment, strangely at peace. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, I could breathe. It was surreal. While she was scrambling to patch up the image of her perfect wedding, I was quietly dismantling it piece by piece. Every contract canceled, every dollar secured, every secret exposed. And she never saw it coming. The wedding day that was supposed to bind us forever was gone, and in its place was something better, a clean slate. But what I didn't know then was that the real fallout hadn't even started. The day that should have been our wedding arrived. Instead of tuxedos, flowers, and vows, I sat at home drinking coffee, watching the sunlight creep across the floor. For the first time in years, my future felt uncertain, but in a way, it also felt free. Meanwhile, across town, Emily's world was falling apart. Her parents had the evidence I sent, the hotel receipts, the pharmacy charge, the group chat screenshots. They confronted her the night before what was supposed to be the ceremony, and it ended in shouting, slammed doors, and tears that no longer moved anyone. That morning, instead of getting dressed in a white gown, Emily was being escorted out of her parents' house with suitcases in hand after a massive fight. Neighbors saw, family friends heard, and within hours, everyone knew the wedding was off, and why. But the biggest twist wasn't even about her. The guy she hooked up with in Nashville? He wasn't just some random fling from a bar. He was married. Married, with a wife 6 months pregnant. I found out through a quiet, anonymous message I sent to the number listed on the hotel reservation. I didn't want to be cruel, but the wife deserved to know. She responded quickly, and the truth hit her like a hammer. She'd suspected something, but the receipts confirmed it. Within days, she filed for divorce. The guy was thrown out of his home, forced to crash with a friend while his entire life crumbled. Emily, meanwhile, tried to save face. But karma has a way of working faster than people expect. It turned out she and that guy worked for the same company. They thought they were being discreet, but coworkers started whispering after seeing them argue in the office parking lot. HR got involved, and soon, an internal investigation began. The company didn't take kindly to employees dragging personal scandals into the workplace. Within a month, Emily was called into a meeting. She didn't come back with her job. The pressure, the gossip, the humiliation, it became too much. She quit before they could push her out. Word spread fast. Friends who once envied her perfect life kept their distance. Her social circle shrank overnight. Invitations stopped coming. Her reputation, one she had worked so hard to polish, was gone. I heard about all of it secondhand, through mutual friends and family whispers. And I won't lie, part of me felt a grim satisfaction. Not because I wanted to see her suffer, but because I realized I didn't even have to lift a finger. The truth handled it for me. On the day I was supposed to stand at an altar promising forever, Emily was standing in the wreckage of her own choices. I sat back, breathed deep, and let the silence of my apartment remind me that peace is sometimes the greatest revenge of all. But the story wasn't done, not yet. Because nearly a year later, she came back. Almost a year passed. Life moved on for me in quiet, steady ways. I focused on myself, on rebuilding, on learning how to enjoy simple routines without the weight of mistrust hanging over my head. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real, peaceful. Then, one afternoon, I got a message from an unknown number. The kind that makes your stomach tighten for a second because you already know who it is. It was Emily. The message was long, far longer than anything she'd written me before. Paragraph after paragraph, spilling over with regret. She wrote, "You were the best man I ever had. I was stupid. Please forgive me. I see now that you were my soulmate. I ruined everything chasing something meaningless." I sat there reading it, not angry, not even sad, just calm. Because here was the truth. The Emily I had loved, the one I thought I'd spend my life with, didn't exist anymore. Maybe she never really did. All that was left was someone who finally realized what she'd thrown away, but only after losing everything else first. I didn't reply, not a single word. She had made her choice in Nashville. She had doubled down when she lied, begged, and let her parents try to smooth it over. She had shown me exactly where I stood in her priorities. And now, when the consequences had burned down her life, she wanted me back? No. Her betrayal had destroyed the wedding, yes. But in hindsight, it saved me. It saved me from tying my life to someone who couldn't respect it. It saved me from years of doubt, suspicion, and pain. And the irony? That night in Nashville, she thought she was chasing happiness. She thought she had found something better. But her happiness turned out to be a married man who lost his wife, his child's trust, and his home. She lost her job, her reputation, and the future we had built together. I didn't need revenge. Karma had already kicked the door down. Now I sleep easy. I laugh with friends. I look ahead without the weight of wondering what she's doing behind my back. My life isn't flashy, but it's mine. And it's honest. As for Emily, well, she'll carry the consequences of her own choices. Every time she remembers the wedding that never was, every time she looks back at the man she said was just a mistake, she'll know exactly what she gave up. And that's enough for me. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.